Hello, everybody. Phil Blazek here, cover artist for a new game we got coming out by Axiom Systems. It is Upper Hand Wrestling, a card-based wrestling RPG. I was excited to talk about it, and I figured who better to bring in to join me than the lead game designer himself, Zachary. Oh, come on.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Please stop.
What's the matter, jabroni? Don't you want to hear about the Rock's new game? And after the Rock took time off from filming Hobbs and Shaw 6, the Jumanjiing, to be here to promote the people's game. It doesn't matter if you want to hear about the Rock's new game or not. Upper Hand is a fast-paced, card-based system that allows you to feel the moment-to-moment action, heart-pound action of having your Rudy Poo candy ass slapped around the ring from post to damn post to damn post. And with the all-play system, every player who plays can experience the game from both sides, game master and player.
I draw a picture. You ask me to come in and help you to do these ads, and this is what I get.
You know what you could do with that picture?
Dumb.
Time to get your fix. Come on down, get your horrible gaming review. 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 Wow.
Hello, my name is Zachary with Old Man Gaming, and this is another horrible game review. I'm very excited about today's review, but before we get into it, we gotta do a few disclaimers. Number one, I want you to understand that the word horrible in the title of this content is not necessarily referred to the game or DLC that I am reviewing, but the content itself. I do snap judgment reviews here. I get about 5 to 10 hours with the game, and then I am just trying to tell you whether you're going to like it right off the bat or not. With that, and the fact that I think games are one of the most subjective forms of art, I do not give scored reviews here. Instead, I will tell you the overview of the game, what it is, and then I'll tell you the pros and cons of the game from my point of view, as all reviews are. Then I'll tell you whether I personally will be sticking with the review outside the purposes of this video. With that said, let's get into it. Midnight Fight Express has released. This is if you follow this channel, you know that I've been very excited for this, waiting for this game for some time, but we got to look at it as objectively as humanly possible and try and figure out whether this sucker holds up. So, what's Midnight Fight Express? It's kind of top-down, and it is a brawler. You can tell that the creator of this game was trying to make the evolution of the brawler right here. What's even more interesting is all the fighting and action in this is actually done with motion capture to give it kind of a more realistic standpoint. So you play a character called Babyface who has amnesia. A drone that talks to you gets delivered to you, and then it basically tells you you're the only one who can save the city. The city itself is going through a nighttime takeover. All of the gangs and all of the ne'er-do-wells has basically taken over the city, which is called the City of Tomorrow. And they're all working for one guy that you have to get to and kill after taking out all of his big generals. This game has 40 levels. They're pretty quick. You can blow through them pretty fast, but each one kind of like gives you another feel of the game. Like the infamous bathroom fight scene, on top of a train, in a skyscraper, anywhere you can think of to have a fight or a gunfight is in this game. Then there is a magnitude of weapons in addition to just your normal brawling fighting style. Everything from bats and nail guns to straight up handguns and explosives are used in this game. As you move through the game, you're introduced to new enemies who present bigger challenges, while you are also constantly upgrading your character to get newer techniques that introduce you to a new way to take those bad guys down, as well as new weapons to either steal or have used against you. The gunfighting itself gets kind of twin sticky, but the actual combat controls are very interesting, that they flow seamlessly between the fist fighting to the gunplay without really having any hamper. That's this game in a nutshell, guys. Go into a level, beat up everything that in that level that you possibly can, move on to the next level. There are a few small collectibles such as golden tooths. There's also some people that you can talk to possibly get more backstory, but you have to kind of find them in each level. And then on top of that, there's also, each level comes with a host of progression that you can do, such as leaderboards, different challenges you can attempt to do, and then of course a ranking system at the end, which goes on how diverse your attacks and kills were, whether or not you died, how many times you died, how many people you took down, what your combo score was, all of that stuff. The dialogue itself is all delivered through text boxes. There is no live action voice acting, which we'll speak about later, but it's all pretty snappy and well written, with a lot of heavy-handed references to other things. As far as other modes, there really isn't any, other than the fact that you also earn money in each level that can be used to purchase customization items for your character, and you also unlock enemies that you can then take into a playground mode, which is basically like a VR fighting simulator sort of thing, where you can just test yourself against other enemies. I do want to stress how many customization items there are. There are a lot, especially considering the fact that any enemy you face and then take down, you actually unlock as a skin that you can just play as that enemy and look like that enemy, period. Alright, so with that said, let's get into it. Let's get into the pros and cons. Pros first. Number one, this is an evolution of the brawler, ladies and gentlemen. An absolute evolution of the brawler. This really takes what the essence of a brawler is, which is that action movie fight your way through bad guys sort of feel, and just evolves it. Like, it allows you to use so many environmental weapons, so many actual weapons, and all of them have different uses, different ways they interact with the enemies, and it's just so in-depth. It's hard for me to break these up into different pros because I just be here all day, but the actual weapons and the way they interact, like a knife, you can throw it, stick it in somebody's head and kill them, whereas a plunger, you can actually throw it and stick it to somebody's face, and then that enemy is blinded and has a hard time attacking them. There's just so many ways for these weapons to interact. Then you add in the environmental stuff. Just about anything that's loose, you can either kick or pick up and hurl at somebody. And then the actual environmental scenery, such as sinks in the restroom, or bars on a thing, or railings that you can toss people over on bridges. All of these things are interactable, and everything, it just gives you that feeling of really watching a fight in this kind of scenario. You couple that with the way that this character advances. Now, right off the bat, I was a little bit nervous because the fighting that you do in the first level, the first tutorial level, is very basic. It was not impressive. But as you unlock abilities, you realize there's just so many things your main character can do. From counters, to different ways to fight, to different attacks, to rush in, rush out attacks, to then a grapple system that's in depth and hard to do. Then, even once you get done with that, you unlock these tools, actual tools, a gun that fires different weird ammo at people, and then a rope that, like, almost like Spider-Man, where you can like pull people to you or shock them and stuff like that. There's just so many different ways to use your abilities and use your attacks against the enemies, and you'll need them because these enemies are tough, and you do not get a lot of life, and there is no way to upgrade your life, none whatsoever. So you have to be on point, which we'll talk about a little bit in the cons. Nonetheless, this is just the evolution of a brawler. It really is. Like, this takes like the basic fundamentals of like a Streets of Rage game and just turns all the dials up to 6. Up to 10. So I really found that very interesting about this one. My next pro has got to be the music. The music is absolutely awesome. It's all synthwave kind of fighting sort of background music, but it is all good. It gets you in the mood. It allows you to fight to that beat. It gets that thump in your head going. I really felt myself enjoying the music. I was looking up soundtracks after I was done with this. I just really liked it. I really liked it, especially for what this game is. My third pro has got to be the seamless way that you can enter in and out of fighting and gunfighting, like fist fighting and gunfighting. I especially liked how well the guns worked in this game, mainly because usually when you have a game trying to do guns that's kind of meant to be a brawler, the guns are either overbalanced or underbalanced. They never quite work right. With this one, they're perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It really makes you feel like those John Wick moments where you're picking up a gun, shooting a guy, dropping the gun, putting another guy through a sink, picking his gun up to shoot somebody else. I really enjoyed that. I am going to talk about this a little bit in the cons. We'll get to it. But I still felt like the versatility of this game going back and forth was really good. Alright, so let's talk about the cons. We got to do some negatives here. And this is a little bit of nitpicky. I do want to say right off the bat, I think this game, fundamentally, it is really the evolution of the brawler. However, I do think there is so much more that can be done with this. And there's also just a couple of negatives. I think the first thing to talk about has to be some of the bugs and clipping issues. Look, for the most part, this game plays real clean. I didn't have any problems with it. But there are moments where my abilities just don't work when I hit the button. Or I'm up against the wall so my gun won't point, even though it should point. And just stuff like that I found a little bit annoying, especially in a game that is so unforgiving, which we will talk about a little bit more. You have to be on point with that stuff. Even one time, it makes you feel powerless when you die to it. The other thing is some of the animations, like I think one of the more emotional parts towards the end of the game, the main character is actually carrying the drone, but the drone appeared above his head and not in his hands. Little ones like that. Another fight scene that happens on the back of a truck while other people are jumping off trucks onto yours. If you kill them with a weapon and the weapon ends up on the other truck, once the other truck disappears, the weapon just floats there in the air. Little stuff like that could be fixed. My next big problem is how unforgivable it is. It's really unforgivable. And there are some levels where you just immediately die. You will load, dead, load, dead, load, dead. The final boss of this game is out of control tough. And while I did beat it, I'm not going to say I didn't, it still presents like, holy Lord, the level of difficulty might be a little off-putting for some people, and it was a little off-putting for me to get just stuck in a room with a bunch of people with guns pointing at me, and if I didn't roll in the exact right way, I died. I don't like things I can't beat the first time around. Like, I like them to be hard, but I don't like Dark Souls play, where I can beat this because I've done it over and over again. I like to be able to beat things that I can just beat them because I know how the game works, and I've gotten good at it. And that kind of thing makes you feel like the only way I can beat this is by dying so many times I know exactly how to dodge. I don't like that. My only problem with the gunplay in this is that sometimes it relies a little too heavily on guns. Look, realistically, just about everybody you're fighting would have a gun and you'd be dead. But this is a brawler. You want to fight things, fist fight things. And just like there's so many levels where I'm in a good fight, having a bunch of fights, and then somebody drops in with a gun, and it immediately changes from being this dynamic, cool fight scene to how do I get that gun away from that guy and shoot everybody in the room. And that just kind of irritates me a little bit. I would rather just brawl or just gunplay, even though as versatile as this is, and it's really versatile, and I understand why it's in there, there's still moments where it just breaks up the action for me that I didn't love. Again, though, super nitpicky. And my final one is also going to be super nitpicky. The story, well, this isn't the final one. There's two final ones. Both nitpicky, so keep that in mind. The story goes off the rails sometimes. It's just so far gone on some things. Like, what I'm saying is there's a level where you fight zombies. Straight up zombies that get resurrected with a magical hex. That kind of stuff is, like, I don't know, I was just expecting John Wick, and then all of a sudden I got zombies in the game, and magic, and I was like, there's robots at one point. And I don't know, I felt like the writing was good already. You didn't need to go overboard with it to do that with it. It didn't really hurt the game too much. I think the first supernatural thing you fight are rat mutant people. But I don't know. For me, it was just a little bit too far. It was just one note too far. I'd rather fight just cool, interesting, normal guys than all of a sudden have to punch a rat man to death. I don't know. It was just a little bit too much for me. Then finally, there is no voice acting in this game. Look, this is extremely nitpicky. Voice acting costs a ton of money. This game was obviously made by like 2 people. With that in mind, they probably couldn't have afforded voice acting. That being said, there are so many funny lines in this text, so many good dialogue choices, and so many times they make fun of like popular movies and stuff. I would have loved to have that read by a voice actor and have that delivery soundly. I think it's a testament to the dialogue that I want that voice acting for it so badly. But that's it. Those are all my nitpicky things. Again, at the end of the day, this is probably the best brawler out there for your buck. If you want to play a brawler, this is the one. Like, play this game 100%. But again, it's gonna go off the rails a couple of times, especially with your weird tool that you can hypnotize people to fight for you, stuff like that. But still, it is a very fun brawler. I enjoyed it. It's definitely the evolution. I want to see more from this instead of just a straightforward level-based narrative. I would love to see some sort of multiplayer on this, some sort of survival-based play here, maybe even roguelike. But, you know, what it is still in its core play mechanics is absolutely the evolution of brawling games and just the future of brawling games. So with that said, I'm definitely going to be sticking with it. I'm going to be streaming it on Tuesday nights on Amateur Hour, soft plug. So hopefully this helps you guys to make your decision. I don't know. Do you like the game? Did I get it wrong? Did I get it right? Comment below. Or you can find us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. Links in the description below. You can influence us in all of our shows from there. Now, next week, I will be doing Death Stranding, much to my infinite despair. And, yeah, we'll see you guys then.